Alan Brissell, who's made a claim that not many Celtic fans will want to hear. Welcome back to Fog Football. And Brendan Rodgers could be away. That's according to Alan Brissell. It's bang, straight in there. Bang, bang, good night. But there is some saving grace, I guess. We'll refer to those Brendan Rodgers comments in a few minutes' time. But Alan Brissell, he was speaking on TalkSport this morning. And of course, there's a lot of managers, right, that could be getting sacked ahead of next season. And just one of them. Daniel Farke is one of them. I believe the Norwich manager could be getting sacked. Don't even know why Norwich. The Norwich is actually on the Daily Record blog, not the blog, the article. That's the word we're looking for. But Daniel Farke, we kind of talked about him over the last couple of days. Leeds got promoted, obviously, that 6-0 victory. 49ers, all that good talk. But there's this like gimmick floating about that he's scared of the Premier League. And you know, you just look at like the teams that have came up into the Premier League recently. You know, like Sheffield United yo-yo, Leeds. I mean, not as yo-yo as other clubs. You know, Burnley very yo-yo. I mean, who's the Leicester are up this year? They will be a yo-yo. Who else? Ipswich. I mean, this is their first year up in donkeys. Southampton are quite yo-yo-y. There's a lot of teams that are yo-yoing a bit. But I think the common denominator between every single club that tends to come up, they don't have a good manager. You know what I mean? They don't a proper like Premier League proven manager. You know, Unai Emery, for example, doing a fantastic job at Aston Villa. Could he be able to keep one of these clubs up? I think he'd give it a better shot than the rest of them. And here it is, me just burying even the managers that have came in. You look at Ruud van Nistelrooy, he's gone, isn't he? So he came in back in December. The damage is already done back in December. Now here, don't get it twisted. Could he have still kept them up in December? Yes, but you know, it doesn't get backed in January. He's working with another guy's squad, and there is just multiple problems there. But you look at the actual gulf and the gap between teams in the Premier League and teams in the Championship. It's honestly it's insane. It has to be one of the biggest gaps. Oh no, I think one of. I think it is. It's the biggest gap between top division and second division. Like you can sit there and say, oh, but every league's got that. Look at Bayern Munich compared to Dusseldorf in Bundesliga 2, or look at PSG compared to Paris FC in Ligue 1 2. Sacre bleu. But that's unfair looking at it that way, right? You look at the state of the Premier League at the bottom, down to 17th, not looking any further than that. You know, you've got Tottenham, you've got United, you've got Wolves, West Ham, etc., etc. 4 teams, right, that have had absolute shite seasons, especially the 2 that are traditionally the top 6, and they're still nowhere near relegation. Honestly, if United and Tottenham were to ever get relegated in this modern era, it would have been this season. The problem is, the teams at the bottom, you're almost guaranteed 6 points against them. That's how sad it is. But yeah, Daniel Farke, apparently Leeds will want a new manager. I'm hearing rumours about, Leeds could sack him and then they could put him in at Rangers. I want this guy nowhere near Rangers Football Club. Alright, see a guy that's scared of a league, he shouldn't be the manager of us, because our league, you know, our situation's fucking scary right here, right now. And by the way, some absolute FUD commenting earlier, because I did 10 reasons why Gerrard should be the Rangers manager. And bear in mind, I actually fucking said in the video, right, that he wouldn't be my number 1 pick. And also, I'm going to do 10 reasons why he shouldn't be the Rangers manager. Oh, you're delusional. You must be a Celtic fan. What's actually delusional, right, about thinking Steven Gerrard wouldn't be that bad coming back? He's won the league before, he's rebuilt us before, and now this time around, he would actually get the money to build a decent enough team with the 49ers. I'm not talking about 200 million, folks. We're not going to get that. We're not going to get 50 million either, but it'd be more than what he got to spend. But apparently you're a Celtic fan for saying Steven Gerrard wouldn't be the worst appointment. I mean, I'd still rather Mourinho. You know what I mean? Wait, Andy Halliday on... what do you call that? I can't remember what you call that on. He turned around and said he wants Gerrard back. What's he, a Celtic fan for saying that? See some of the comments that I see on this channel and my channel? They're... honestly, yeah, I'd even question if there's actually a brain there. You know what I mean? Imagine say, I wouldn't mind Steven Gerrard back, because you know what, he's the last guy to win us a league, and he had a decent record against Celtic, while openly admitting during the vid, by the way, that his cup record was fucking rank bottom. Of course it is. Yeah, And his time in Saudi Arabia and in Birmingham was shite. You know what I mean? It was. The fact of the matter is, it matters what he does at Rangers. It doesn't really matter what he does at those two. Um, anyway, we'll move on. I'm taking Gerrard over Daniel Farke every day of the week. But with Daniel Farke's position apparently freeing up, Brendan Rodgers could take that job. With Ange, apparently, him walking at the door at the end of the season, walked or pushed, we'll have to wait and see. I mean, I've seen someone comment, oh, it sums up how shite the Europa League is when Spurs would still be willing to sack Ange even if he won that. Does it though? I don't think it does. I think the fact that Spurs are doing like 16th, 17th is the deciding factor whether or not Ange is going to get the sack. Because, see, winning the Europa League, that is better than getting top 5 in England, right? It's better than getting 5th because you're getting a trophy, a European trophy, and you're getting Champions League anyway. Now, in terms of next season's Premier League, would you rather be 5th or 17th the year before? Of course, you'd rather be 5th because you're higher up the table. But when all is said and done, you know what I mean? I would rather win the fucking Europa League, and it's the same with us, right? Say the top 2 in our league got guaranteed Champions League football. Would I rather finish second, or would I rather finish 9th or 10th? I'd rather finish and win the Europa League. Sorry, I'd rather finish 9th and win the Europa League than finish second and don't win the Europa League. It's a European trophy. I just don't understand that. We've seen in the past guys have won the Champions League. The caretaker at Chelsea all those years ago, Di Matteo, he won the Champions League, and he ended up getting sacked pretty much not long after it. So that's winning the top. That's winning that's winning the biggest one of them all, the granddaddy of them all. You know what I mean? So it's what it is. But Ange could be away. But anyway, I think it's about time we dove into Alan fucking Brazil's comments. He said, here's one for you, right? Celtic fans will hate me for this, but what about Brendan Rodgers at Leeds? Would you go with that one? Brendan's going to win the treble, and you might think he'd done it again. Do I want to move? We were talking about the Tottenham job can come up as well. I'm not 100% sure that Brendan will be Celtic manager. End of quote. Again, Celtic probably are going to win a treble, but it's a wee bit shite in Aberdeen, isn't it? You know what I mean? Like the third biggest club, fourth, right? With whoever wants to say third or fourth, I don't care, right? But we're talking about one of the biggest clubs in Scotland going up against Celtic in a one-off cup final, and pretty much everybody's writing Aberdeen off. And even I've ripped them off. I'm not going to sit here and say I haven't. I think they've got fucking no chance, but it just sums up the state, doesn't it? It sums up the state when everybody across the board is like, Brendan's won a treble, and the cup isn't even under wraps yet. It's crazy. He went on to say, I've just seen reports that Daniel Levy is trying to get Brendan Rodgers to go to Tottenham Hotspur. Is there any truth in that rumour? End of quote. Hold on. Was that John Higgins? Probably John Higgins asked that. Well, I wasn't Alan Brazil. McCoy's replied, John, I'll be honest with you, mate. I'm trying to get him to go anywhere. I don't care. He can go to Tottenham Hotspur. I just want him south. Is that okay? Just to clarify that in case you thought I was anti-Tottenham, I'm pro-Tottenham. I want him anywhere. End of quote. So, yeah, I mean, Ali and John. So Ali was. What is it with the coverage of the World Snooker Championship? You've got Ali McCoist, you've got John Burfell, Shane of the Walking Dead. If you know, you know. It's crazy times on the World Snooker Championships, that's for sure. But honestly, to quickly wrap this up about Brendan Rodgers, I don't think he's leaving. He's promised Celtic fans, right, that he's staying till the end of his contract, which is at the end of next season. I just don't. Honestly, I don't see him leaving. Could he leave at the end of the contract? Yeah, because he promised that he'd get to that. Would he? I mean, if he wins the treble this year and wins another league title next year with a double or a treble, I don't think anyone's going to really fault Rodgers for leaving. But we'll have to wait and see in that regard. Could I see him at Leeds? Imagine Brendan Rodgers at the 49ers consortium. Leeds become Rangers' feeder club. Rangers become Leeds' feeder club. What's going to happen, man? What's going to happen? And at Tottenham, honestly, the fact that you could go to Tottenham would free up Ange. I wouldn't be surprised if Ange was back at Celtic and we could just be in a vicious cycle of swimming around Brendan Rodgers and Ange Postecoglou, man. I don't want signed up for that. Anyway, that's where we're going to leave it. Personally, I don't think he's going anywhere. But leave it down below.